In May 2016, Federal Ammunition released the 9mm 150 grain micro HST. We'll be reviewing the 150 grain HST along with its established heavy for caliber sibling, the 147 grain HST in standard pressure and also plus P. The Glock 43 is our test gun. I purchased several boxes of this ammo, ordering online from a dealer in East Tennessee. Suggested retail from Federal is $31.95 for 20 rounds. I paid $25.50 per box, plus shipping and local sales tax. Relative to the 147 grain HST, in June 2016 you can purchase those in 50-round boxes for well under $30 per box. There are a few visual characteristics that stand out when comparing the 150 grain to the 147, and I would guess those are functional as well. The 150 has a slightly greater overall length compared to the 147, and the base below the cannelure also has more vertical mass. Depth of the hollow point cavity appears to be the same, and also the diameter of that cavity. Both have 6 petals, but serrations on the 150 are shorter. Federal advertises velocity of the micro HST at 900 feet per second, with the test barrel length unknown. Measured at 10 feet, 5 shots from the Glock 43 came in as follows. The average is 889 feet per second, about 1.5% below the advertised. Recoil is very mild, as we'll see in a moment. By comparison, here are 5 shots of the 147 grain standard pressure HST, advertised velocity of 1,000 feet per second from a 4-inch test barrel. The average from the Glock 43 is 958 feet per second. From a Glock 19, I usually get 1,000 to 1,005 feet per second. And finally, a group of the 147 grain plus P, advertised at 1,050 feet per second in a 4-inch barrel. 5-shot average from the Glock 43 is 985 feet per second. In the Glock 19, I'm usually between 1,050 and 1,060 feet per second. To give you an idea of recoil and muzzle flash, here are a few shots, both day and night, of all 3 loads that we're testing. We're now ready for the test shots using 2 calibrated blocks from ClearBallistics. Both have been used in previous tests, then recycled. As a result of that process, the blocks begin to show a little bit of color. I'm lining up 2 consecutive blocks just in case any shots surpass 16 inches in penetration. Wow, the penetration is all over the map, very inconsistent for these 3 shots. I expected these to be in the same area. We'll get an overhead in just a minute. But that first one's coming in about 12 inches, and then the next one in the line is about 16. It's right in between the 2 blocks. So I'm glad I put that second one there, otherwise that might have been a pass-through. And this one here is about 17.5, 18 inches. That obviously would have been a pass-through if I just had 1 block. So again, I'm glad that one was up there. And at a glance, the expansion profile is somewhat what I expected, not as aggressive as the 147s. So with the measurements, we're looking at one at about 12 inches. That did not expand as much as the other 2, which also turned when they stopped. We'll try to get some close-ups from this perspective, although the lighting is really, playing some tricks with me. I'll get approximate measurements for you, and then we'll look at the expanded diameters in just a moment. On the 3 standard pressure 147s overall, we have average deeper penetration, and 2 of those 3 are coming in pretty close to a pair of the micro shots. You can see my markers. We have some blue toothpicks for the micro shots. We're going to have yellow in just a moment for the standard pressure 147s. Again, overall, we're coming in a little bit deeper average penetration, about 15 3/4 on 1 shot. We'll get approximate measurements 17 on the other, and all the way up to 19 on this one. Coming into this exercise, did anyone think that we might have groups of penetration based on the bullet? For example, the 150 micro in one area, the 147 standard pressure kind of in its own nesting zone, and then the 147 plus P in its own zone. I kind of thought that might be the case. It didn't work out that way. As you can see, we're all over the map, and we actually had one of the 147 plus Ps that was one of the lowest penetrating bullets, as you can see by the marker. Then we had two more that are in the range of what we have seen previously. As far as cavitation, everything is pretty much in the same group. I was not trying to do that on purpose. I really want to spread this out. But nonetheless, cavitation, from what we can see in the clear gel, is pretty consistent from one to the other. I would think with the faster velocity on the 147 plus P, you are going to, let's go ahead and say it, destroy more tissue. But we really can't determine that as well as we would like from the clear gel. One final overview of these in the block, then I have some extrication work in front of me. So on the plus Ps, we're coming in with the markers, the hot markers, orange, coming in about 14 inches, 17, and approximately 18 and a half. So, I mean, look at this. The averages are all over the map. Maybe not what we expected, but we're looking at a range of 12 to 19 inches with all 9 shots. The average, once we do the math in just a moment, is going to come in probably about right there in the center, about 16, maybe a little bit lower because of these extremes we have over here. But the average is, look at these 5 that are in these 16 to 19 inch range. Now some folks might feel like that's over penetration, and I cannot disagree with that. Personally, I'm okay with 14 to 18 inches of penetration, just because of the different angles that are going to be presented to you in a self-defense scenario. So we're going to take these out of the block, get the average penetration for the group and expansion, and try to draw some conclusions. With regard to the micro, the greater the expansion, the deeper it penetrated, a characteristic not normally seen when comparing the same bullets at similar velocities. Adequate penetration for all 3 micros, but yielding the lowest average of the 3 loads tested. Consistent expansion of the 147 standard pressure in spite of not being designed specifically for short barrels. Compared to the micro, an average of 2 inches additional penetration, and probably the most balanced performance overall of this review. As for the 147 plus P, much higher average expansion than the micro or standard pressure 147. Average penetration was in the middle compared to the micro and 147 standard pressure. The 150 grain micro HST offers noticeably reduced recoil and muzzle flash while meeting adequate penetration depths and providing a consistent expansion envelope. These characteristics should make it a viable option for self-defense. On the other hand, for those such as myself who are already sold on both options of the 147 grain HST, it can be difficult to sway buying preferences toward the 150 grain micro. That is my personal conclusion when considering the similar ballistic results from this review and, as mentioned earlier, the cost per round. Thanks for watching.